A local search engine business directory guide for some American cities. Chapter 1. A local search engine guide. Local search engines. 1. You can use search engines that will give you lists of companies in a particular field by zip code, town, city, county, and state. Google.com has a feature where you can type in a search for anything and end it with 2 zip codes separated by 2 dots/periods like fresh apples, 90,001.90015. The search will then be conducted for 15 zip code areas 90,001 to 90,015. Alltheservices.com, angieslist.com, areaconnect.com, areaguides.net, associatedcontent.com/local, bestin.com, bestplaces.net, byregion.net, city.ask.com/city, citysearch.com, descdio.com/local-businesses, everywhereslocal.com, findlocalpages.com, foundlocally.com, genieknows.com, google.com/loc, Google Local, hellolocal.com, hellometro.com, insiderpages.com, itsourlocal.com, justclicklocal.com, listedlocal.com, local.com, local.google.com, local.live.com, local.truelocal.com, local.yahoo.com, localacess.com, local-busines.org, localcitebook.com, localinternet.com, local-list.org, localpages.com, localzarchguide.org, local-travel.info, localwin.com, looklocally.com, maps.google.com, search within a km radius of a zip code or address, maps.live.com/localzarch/default.aspx, golocalnet.net, monsterlocal.com, nationaldirectory.com, purelocal.com, reachlocal.com, shoplocal.com, smartfindslocalistaing.com, superpages.com, thinklocal.com, touchlocal.com, truelocal.com, unitedstates.areaguides.net, guides for over 30,000 communities. Walkscore.com, showing you how close the address you type in is to various kinds of services and retail establishments. It also shows you a current valuation on that property and rankings for America's most walkable neighborhoods. wickedlocal.com, withinourrange.com, ylowise.com, yelp.com, zip411.net, zipcodes2.com, zipcodez.com, ziplocal.com, local search engines 2, aboutus.com, agreatertown.com, angieslist.com, avvo.com, b99.co.uk, bing.com, bizncz.com, bizhighway.com, bizvotes.com, brownbook.net, businessnetwork.co.uk, businessspread.co.uk, callupcontact.com, kenpages.ca, cataloxy.com, chamberofcommerce.com, cityfos.com, citylocal.co.uk, citysquares.com, clickblue.us, communitywalk.com, company.fm, cybo.com, cylex-uk.co.uk, silex.ca, silex.com.au, silex.us.com, directory.independent.co.uk, directory.thesun.co.uk, elocal.com, expressbusinessdirectory.com, facebook.com, factual.com, find-us-here.com, findlaw.com, finduslocal.com, fonolive.com, foursquare.com, fiple.com, gb.enrollbusiness.com, getfave.com, gollocal247.com, google.com, hg.org, hotfrog.ca, hotfrog.co.uk, hotfrog.com, hotfrog.com.au, hozz.com, hub.biz, ibegin.com, iglobal.co, infoisinfo.co.uk, lockharts.com, lawlink.com, lawyers.justia.com, lecku.com, local.botw.org, local.com, manta.com, mapquest.com, merchantcircle.com, mrwatt.co.uk, mysheriff.co.uk, n49.com, nexport.com, openda.co.uk, openda.us, parkbench.com, pathlegal.com, salespider.com, scoot.co.uk, sdnews.com, searchme4.co.uk, shomlocal.com, spoke.com, storyboard.com, superpages.com, teleadrisun.com, thetradefinder.co.uk, thomsonlocal.com, tipped.co.uk, tripadvisor.com, truelocal.com.au, trustlink.org, tupelo.com, tupelo.net, tuyugo.co.uk, uk.biz80.com, uk.ypgo.net, uksmallbusinessdirectory.co.uk, us.enrollbusiness.com, wand.com, where'sit.com, whitepages.com, whodou.com, worldweb.com, yell.com, yellowbook.com, yellowpages.com, yellow.com, yelp.com. A list of local search engines from brightlocal.com/resources/the-free-business-directory-list. appleid.apple.com, google.com/business, linkedin.com/directory/companies, facebook.com, bing.com, yelp.com, foursquare.com, offers.hubspot.com, bbb.org/en/us, mapquest.com, smallbusiness.yahoo.com/local, yellowpages.com, angieslist.com, manta.com, merchantcircle.com, superpages.com, thumbtack.com, yellowbook.com, local.com, spoke.com, worldweb.com, communitywalk.com, hotfrog.com, chamberofcommerce.com, company.com, brownbook.net, local.botw.org, easylocal.com, cylex-usa.com, ibegin.com, lockharts.com, citysquares.com, discoverourtown.com, yellow.com, getfave.com, hub.biz, tupelo.com, 2findlocal.com, ebusinesspages.com, finduslocal.com, callupcontact.com, myhuckleberry.com, openda.us, fiple.com, wowcity.com, bizhighway.com, cityinsider.com, where'sit.com, where2go.com, Top World Business Search Engines from brightlocal.com/resources/top-international-citation-sites. 2 findlocal.com/n, 2 find local. 4 roadservice.com/previous/public_html/production, 4 road service. aboutus.com, aboutus. asdphone.com, asdphone.com. askmap.net, askmap. autolocksmithfinder.com, autolocksmithfinder. barberproductsearch.info, barberproductsearch. bark.com/en/gb, bark. bbb.org, Better Business Bureau. beanhunter.com, beanhunter. bestwebdesignagencies.co, best web design agencies. biglaw.org, big law. bing.com, bing. brownbook.net, brownbook. callupcontact.com, callupcontact. cataloxy.com, cataloxy. communitywalk.com, communitywalk. cybo.com, cybo. cylex-uk.co.uk, silex. dentogama.com, dentogama. dentistfind.com, dentistfind. directory.justlanded.com, justlanded. en-gb.nearfinderuk.com, nearfinder. enrollbusiness.com, enrollbusiness. eventctive.com, eventective. everydentist.com, everydentist. express business. directory.com, express business directory. extremewrench.com, extreme wrench directory. facebook.com, facebook. find-open.com, find open. find-us-here.com, find us here. finditguide.com, the Find It Guide. fonolive.com, phonolive. foodio54.com, foodio54. foursquare.com, foursquare. freecampsites.net, freecampsites. fiple.com, fiple. globalcatalog.com, global catalog. goodvetandpetguide.com, the Good Vet and Pet Guide. google.com/mybusiness, Google local. happycow.net, happy cow. hg.org, hg. homeownerscircle.com, homeownerscircle.com. hotfrog.co.uk/faq.aspx, hotfrog. hozz.com, house. idesignAwards.com, International Design Awards. iglobal.co, iglobal. infobel.com, infobel. infoisinfo.org/?lang=n, inf was info. insurance-directories.com, insurance directories. intention.com, intention. compass.com, compass. laterooms.com, laterooms. lawlink.com, lawlink. lekku.com, lekku. localstour.com. lodging-world.com, Lodging World. looking4spas.com, looking for spas. mapquest.com, mapquest. maps.apple.com, Apple Maps. mrwatt.com, Mr. Watt. n49.com, n49.com. officialblog.yelp.com, Yelp. onude.com, OneWed. openda.com, Openda. orthopages.com, orthodontist pages. parkbench.com, parkbench. pathlegal.com, pathlegal. periodontistdirectory.com, periodontist directory. placereference.com, place reference. ratebeer.com, ratebeer. referralkey.com, referral key. rentalo.com, rentalo. salespider.com, salespider. ShomLocal.com, ShomLocal. Spoke.com, Spoke. SummerCamps.com, Summer Camps. TelaAdiarisun.com, TelaAdiarisun.com. TheSoftwareNetwork.com, The Software Network. TomTom.com/n_gb/mytomtom/create account, TomTom. TopDesignFirms.com, Top Design Firms. TravelIndex.com, TravelIndex. TripAdvisor.com, TripAdvisor. TripCook.com, TripCook. Tupelo.com, Tupelo. Tuyugo.net, Tugo. VenueDirectory.com, VenueDirectory. VetClick.com, VetClick. Wand.com, Wand. WHODOU.com, Who Do You? WindsorBusiness.com, Windsor Business Directory. WorldTravelServer.com, World Travel Server. WorldWeb.com, World Web. WowCity.com, Wow City. Yellow.place/n/Britain/Hackney, Yellow.place. YLOELO.com, Yellow Yellow. YourSalon.co, Your Salon. Zenbuletin.net.nz/b, Zenbu. Zomato.com, Zomato. Chapter 2. U.S. Local City Search Engine Business Directory Websites. Akron, Ohio Local Business Directory Websites. AkronLife.com. The City of Akron.com. Akron Chamber of Commerce.com. NorthAkronChamber.org. AkronDirect.info. Albuquerque, New Mexico Local Business Directory Websites. ABQChamber.com. Albuquerque.com. AlbuquerqueWebMall.com. ABQFind.com. AlbuquerqueDirectory.org. AlbuquerqueDirect.info. Albuquerque, New Mexico Businesses.com. Anaheim, California Local Business Directory Websites. AnaheimOC.org. AnaheimChamber.org. Anchorage, Alaska Local Business Directory Websites. Anchorage.net/business-directory. AnchorageChamber.org. TheAnchorageDirectory.com. Arlington, Virginia Local Business Directory Websites. ArlingtonChamber.org. ArlingtonVirginiaDirect.info. THArlingtonCityDirectory.com. THArlingtonVADirectory.com. Arlington, Texas Local Business Directory Websites. DowntownArlington.org/directory. ArlingtonTX.com. ArlingtonWeeklyNews.com. THArlingtonDirectory.com. ArlingtonTexasBusinesses.net. ShopArlington.com. Atlanta, Georgia Local Business Directory Websites. Atlanta.com. SurfAtlanta.com. AtlantaRealEstateBrokers.com. ActionInAtlanta.com. Aurora, Colorado Local Business Directory Websites. AuroraChamber.org. AuroraColoradoDirect.info. Austin, Texas Local Business Directory Websites. AustinBCC.org. EastAustinOnline.com. AustinoNE.com. AustinCountyByAnsell.com. AustinTXCity.com. AustinTexasBusinesses.com. CityOfAustinDirectory.com. AustinDirect.info. Bakersfield, California Local Business Directory Websites. BakersfieldDBA.com. ShopBakersfield.com. BakersfieldDirect.info. Baltimore, Maryland Local Business Directory Websites. Baltimore.com. GBC.org. BaltimoreJewishLife.com. ShopInBaltimore.com. BaltCountyChamber.com. BeMoreBlack.com. BaltimoreBusinessList.com. BaltimoreDirect.info. Baton Rouge, Louisiana Local Business Directory Websites. BestOFBatonRouge.com. BatonRougeDirect.info. Birmingham, Alabama Local Business Directory Websites. dir.birminghamlights.com, shopbirmingham.com, birminghamdirect.info, birmingham.directory, Boise, Idaho local business directory websites, boisechamber.org, thinkboisefirst.org, localboise.com, boise100.com, shopboise.com, boisedirect.info, Boston, Massachusetts local business directory websites, search boston.com, bostonmass.com, bostoncatalog.com, shopinboston.com, thebostondirectory.com, bostondirect.info, yallaboston.com, Boston Massachusetts businesses.com, localbostondirectory.com, Buffalo, New York local business directory websites, thepartnership.org, buffalochamber.org, shopinbuffalo.com, buffalodirect.info, Chandler, Arizona local business directory websites, chandlerchamber.com, chandler.com, thinksmallbizaz.com, chandlerlifestyle.com, chandlerrechamrock.com, chandlertxchamberofcommerce.com, chandlerdirect.info, Charlotte, North Carolina local business directory websites, charlottechamber.com, charlotteparent.com, 360charlotte.com, charlottenow.com, charlotte-company.com, Chesapeake, Virginia local business directory websites, Hampton Roads area, hamptonroadchamber.com, chesapeake.yallwa.com, Chesapeake Virginia Classifieds.com, chesapeakedirect.info, Chicago, Illinois local business directory websites, chicagotribune.com, chicagomag.com, chicagocrusader.com, chicagolandchamber.org, Chula Vista, California local business directory websites, 12 kilometers from the Mexican border, chulavista.com, Chula Vista California Classifieds.com, shopchulavista.com, chulavistadirect.info, Cincinnati, Ohio local business directory websites, cincinnatiChamber.com, cincyusa.com, familyfriendlycincinnati.com, cityatlas.net, cincydirectory.com, cincinnatidirect.info, Cleveland, Ohio local business directory websites, heightsobserver.org, bedfordonline.com, ocagc.org, Colorado Springs, Colorado local business directory websites, Colorado Springs VetchBusinessDirectory.com, SpringsGuide.com, DreamColoradoSprings.com, SPRINGS-BIZ.com, Colorado Springs CityDirectory.com, The Colorado Springs Directory.com, Colorado Springs ColoradoBusinesses.com, Columbus, Ohio local business directory websites, ExperienceColumbus.com, ColumbusRegion.com, ColumbusBusinessList.com, LocalColumbusDirectory.com, Corpus Christi, Texas local business directory websites, CorpusChristiChamber.org, CorpusChristi.com, CorpusChristiDirect.info, Dallas, Texas local business directory websites, DallasNews.com, DallasObserver.com, DallasBlack.com, DallasMarketCenter.com, DallasChamber.org, Dallas.com, DallasFilmCommission.com, 360dallas.com, Dallas.localtiger.com, MetroplexDirectory.com, dgsdallas.org, Denver, Colorado local business directory websites, downtowndenver.com, denverchamber.org, denver.com, 16thstreetmallenver.com, shopindenver.com, businessdenver.net, denverblackpages.com, denverdirect.info, Detroit, Michigan local business directory websites, cranesdetroit.com, detroitchamber.com, thejewishnews.com, detroitdirect.info, Durham, North Carolina local business directory websites, durhamchamber.org, durhamdirect.info, thedurhamdirectory.com, El Paso, Texas local business directory websites, elpasotimes.com, shopinelpaso.com, elpasodirectory.org, westelpaoliving.com, northeastelpaoliving.com, elpasodirect.info, elpasowomeninbusiness.com, Fort Wayne, Indiana local business directory websites, fortwayne.com, waynet.org, fortwaynedirect.info, Fort Worth, Texas local business directory websites, fortworth.com, fortworthchamber.com, texas-businessdirectory.com, 360ftworth.com, ourfortworth.com, dallasfortworthbusinessdirectory.com, fortworthcompany.com, fortworthdirect.info, Fresno, California local business directory websites, playfresno.org, california.com, fresnochamber.com, californiaibd.com, shopinfresno.com, fresnodirectory.org, fresnoepc.org, fresnobusinesses.com, fresnodirect.info, Garland, Texas local business directory websites, garlandchamber.com, Glendale, Arizona local business directory websites, visitglendale.com, goglendaleaz.com, Greensboro, North Carolina local business directory websites, downtowngreensboro.net, greensborofinder.com, greensborodirect.info, Henderson, Nevada local business directory websites, hendersonchamber.com, nevada-webbusiness.com, hendersondirect.info, thehendersondirectory.com, Hialeah, Florida local business directory websites, sflbusinessconnections.com, floridaexportdirectory.com, southfloridachamber.org, hialeahdirect.info, Honolulu, Hawaii local business directory websites, honolulumagazine.com, kaimukihawaii.com, cockhawaii.org, Houston, Texas local business directory websites, houston.org, links to houston.com, houstonblackdirectory.com, houston-business-directory.com, Huntington, New York local business directory websites, huntingtonchamber.com, Indianapolis, Indiana local business directory websites, indystar.com, ibj.com, members.indychamber.com, coupons4indy.com, mkna.org, Jacksonville, Florida local business directory websites, local.jacksonville.com, myjackschamber.com, jacksonvilledirect.info, localjacksonvilledirectory.com, Jersey City, New Jersey local business directory websites, jcdowntown.org, indiaschuar.org, Jersey City New Jersey classifieds.com, jerseycitydirect.info, Kansas City, Missouri local business directory websites, kcchamber.com, 360kc.com, kcmetro.com, okc.com, waldokc.org, businessprosofkansascity.com, Laredo, Texas local business directory websites. Local.lmtonline.com, LaredoChamber.com, MyLaredoBusiness.com, LaredoDirect.info. Las Vegas, Nevada local business directory websites. LasVegasSun.com, Vegas.com, VegasInc.com, LVChamber.com, VEGAS4LOCALS.com, LasVegas.net, AccessVegas.com, LAS-VEGAS-AREA.com, ShopInLasVegas.net, LasVegasLocalDirectory.com, Lexington, Kentucky local business directory websites. CommerceLexington.com, LocalFirstLexington.com, Lincoln, Nebraska local business directory websites. JournalStar.com, ShopLincoln.com, BuyLincolnFirst.com, BuyLincoln.biz. Long Beach, California local business directory websites. LBChamber.com, LongBeachDirectory.org, LongBeachOnline.net, MyLongBeach.org, LongBeachDirect.info. Los Angeles, California local business directory websites. MyLocal.dailynews.com, LawBusinessConnect.com, LOSANGELES-COMPANY.com, LosAngelesBusinessWeb.com. Lubbock, Texas local business directory websites. LubbockOnline.com, LubbockChamber.com, LubbockTexasClassifieds.com, LubbockDirect.info. Madison, Wisconsin local business directory websites. Madison.com, IBMadison.com, VisitDowntownMadison.com, MadisonAllChamber.ChamberMaster.com. Memphis, Tennessee local business directory websites. Memphis.com, Memphisite.com, NABOMemphis.org, MemphisDirect.info. Mesa, Arizona local business directory websites. MESAChamber.org, DowntownMesa.com, CostaMesaChamber.com, Mesa.com, AllMesa.com, ThemesADirectory.com. Miami, Florida local business directory websites. DowntownMiami.com, MiamiBeachChamber.com, Business.GayBizMiami.com, MiamiSprings.com, MiamiBeach.org, Miami'sHorace.ChamberMaster.com, MiamiLakeChamber.com, SoBiesMiami.com, MiamiBusinessListings.com. Milwaukee, Wisconsin local business directory websites. MILWAUKEE365.com, LocalFirstMilwaukee.com, MilwaukeeCityDirectory.com. Minneapolis, Minnesota local business directory websites. MinneapolisChamber.org, NortheastMinneapolis.com, AllMinneapolis.org, BusinessMinneapolis.net. Modesto, California local business directory websites. Modesto California Classifieds.com, ModestoDirect.info. Montgomery, Alabama local business directory websites. MyLocal.MontgomeryNews.com, MontgomeryCountyChamber.com, Business.MontgomeryCC.org, Business.FultonMontgomery.org. TombsMontgomeryChamber.com, OnlineMontgomery.com, MontgomeryCountyChamber.org, MontgomeryDirect.info. Nashville, Tennessee local business directory websites. GetLocal.NashvilleScene.com, Nashville.com, NashvilleParent.com, NashvilleLife.com, EastNashville.org. New York City local business directory websites. Chamber.nyc, Local.nydailynews.com, NewYorkBizList.com, NewYorkCityMetro.com, NEWYORKNY411.com, NewYorkSeaGo.com, PhelpsNewYork.com, New Orleans, Louisiana local business directory websites. Classifieds.NewOrleansCityBusiness.com, NewOrleansWebsites.com, NewOrleansChamber.org, NewOrleansDirect.info, BusinessNewOrleans.net, NewOrleansPreferred.us, Newark, New Jersey local business directory websites. NewarkRBP.org, NEWARK-CHAMBER.com, ShopInNewark.com, DowntownNewarkAOH.com, NewarkDelawareRedirect.info, Norfolk, Virginia local business directory websites. DowntownNorfolk.org, NorfolkDirect.info, North Hempstead, New York local business directory websites. Nassau County, business.nhpchamber.org, Oakland, California local business directory websites. OaklandMagazine.com, OaklandChamber.com, OaklandCaliforniaBusinesses.com, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma local business directory websites. OKCChamber.com, KeepItLocaloak.com, 360okc.com, GreenOKLA.com, Business.SouthOKC.com, OklahomaCity.com, OCAPL.org, GreatOklahoma.com, DirectoryOklahoma.com, Omaha, Nebraska local business directory websites. Omaha.com, OmahaChamber.org, Omaha.net, AKSarbenvillage.com, MidtownBusinessAssociation.org, InBenson.com, OmahaCompany.com, LocalOmahaDirectory.com, Orlando, Florida local business directory websites. OrlandoAtPlay.com, Business.MBAOrlando.org, ORLANDO-MAPS.info, UrbaneOrlandoBusiness.com, DirectoryOfOrlando.com, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania local business directory websites. GreaterPhiladelphiaChamber.com, SouthStreet.com, SBNPhiladelphia.org, PHILADELPHIA-CITY-DIRECTORY.com, BabaistPhilly.org, Phoenix, Arizona local business directory websites. EdgePhoenix.com, PhoenixChamber.com, ShopInPhoenix.com, PHOENIX-CITY-DIRECTORY.com, PhoenixArizonaBusinesses.net, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania local business directory websites. POST-GAZETTE.com, EdgePittsburgh.com, VisitPittsburgh.com, Pittsburgh.net, Greater Pittsburgh Chamber of Commerce.com, PittsburghDirect.info, BusinessPittsburgh.net, Plano, Texas local business directory websites. PlanoChamber.org, visit DowntownPlano.com, PlanoDirect.info, AlloFTexas.com, Portland, Oregon local business directory websites. PortlandByLocal.org, Portland.com, PDXBusinessDirectory.com, SouthPortlandDBA.com, PortlandBusinessList.com, PortlandBusinessToday.com, Raleigh, North Carolina local business directory websites. ShopLocalRaleigh.org, RaleighDirect.info, RaleighZArch.org, Reno, Nevada local business directory websites. NewTorino.com, RenoAndSparks.com, ThereNoDirectory.com, Riverside, California local business directory websites. RiversideDirect.info, RiverSide-CHAMBER.com, RiversideABP.com, Rochester, New York local business directory websites. RochesterHomepage.net, RochesterBusinessAlliance.com, inforochester.com, rochesterhba.org, digitalrochester.com, showprochester.com, rochesterbusinessdirectory.org. Sacramento, California Local Business Directory websites. sacramentotop10.com, shopinsacramento.com, dreamsacramento.com, sacramentodirectory.org, thesacramentodirectory.com, signonsacramento.com. St. Paul, Minnesota Local Business Directory websites. stpaulchamber.com, sdpauldirect.info. San Francisco, California Local Business Directory websites. local.sfgate.com, sfstation.com, sfjapantown.org, sfgreenbusiness.org, mycastro.com, cityofsfdirectory.com. San Bernardino, California Local Business Directory websites. sbachamber.org, mysanbernardino.org. San Diego, California Local Business Directory websites. sandiegoreader.com, sddt.com, sdbj.com, sandiegometro.com, sdvg.org, san-diego-culture.com, cai-sd.org, mysandiego.org, sandiego-christiandirectory.com, sandiegodesi.com, san-diego-city-directory.com, businessdirectory-san-diego.com, san-diego-companieS.com, sandiegolocales.com. AAAA free click here. San Antonio, Texas Local Business Directory websites. mysanantonio.com, sachamber.org, sahcc.org, sanantonio.com, sustainablesanantonio.com, qsanantonio.com, blacksansanantonio.com, sanantonioman.com. San Jose Local Business Directory websites. sanjose.org, sanjose.com, sanjoseinside.com, thesanjosedirectory.info. Santa Ana, California Local Business Directory websites. santanachamber.com, santanadirect.info, Santana California Classifieds.com. Scottsdale, Arizona Local Business Directory websites. scottsdale.com, scottsdalechamber.com, scottsdalechamber.chambermaster.com, scottsdaleasap.com, thescottsdaledirectory.com. Seattle, Washington Local Business Directory websites. seattletimes.com, seattlepie.com, seattlechamber.com, seattle.com, cttleshoppingguide.com, seattlechamberdirirectory.com, theseattleumbrella.com. St. Louis, Missouri Local Business Directory websites. sdltoday.com, exploristlouis.com, stlouisunionstation.com, sdlregionalchamber.com, sdlbosnians.com, hccSDL.chambermaster.com, aaccSDL.org, directoryofstlouis.com. St. Petersburg, Florida Local Business Directory websites. saint-petersburg.com, keepstpetersburglocal.org, sdpetersburg.com, sdpetersburgdirect.info, petersburgvachamber.com, st-petersburg.net, sdpetersburgbizlist.com. Stockton, California Local Business Directory websites. stocktondirect.info, stocktonchamber.org, downtowns tockton.org, estockton.com. Tampa, Florida Local Business Directory websites. 813area.com, tampachamber.com, tampabaybeaches.com, southtambachamber.org, tampabay.welcomeguide-map.com, tampadirect.info, destinationtampabai.com, newtampa.com, westtampachamber.com, golocaltb.com, tampabaybusinesslistings.com, thetampabaybusinessdirectory.com, Toledo, Ohio local business directory websites, toledoblade.com, toledo.com, toledochamber.com, toledodirect.info, shopintoledo.com, toledoohio.com, Tucson, Arizona local business directory websites, TucsonHispanicChamber.org, TucsonCleanandBeautiful.org, TucsonGLBTChamber.org, TucsonCentral.com, BusinessTucson.net, TucsonLocalsGuide.com, TucsonPreferred.us, TucsonBlackPages.org, TheTucsonDirectory.com, Tulsa, Oklahoma local business directory websites, TulsaWorld.com, TulsaChamber.com, TulsaCountyOnline.com, DowntownTulsaOak.com, GreaterTulsa.com, OakQ.org, TulsaHispanicChamber.com, TulsaDirectory.org, Virginia Beach, Virginia local business directory websites, VirginiaBeach.com, VABeach.com, VirginiaBeachDirect.info, TheVirginiaBeachDirectory.com, Washington, District of Columbia local business directory websites, WashingtonPost.com, WashingtonBlade.com, WashingtonDC.com, CapitolHillBid.org, OrovilleWashington.com, WashingtonDCGuide.com, Wichita, Kansas local business directory websites, 360wichita.com, WichitaChamber.org, HistoricDelano.com,